Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post it up to Facebook, and then I do questions on Wednesday. Apparently people are having problems finding the videos because apparently YouTube did something weird and changed the thing. So if you're looking for the videos on your phone and you're only seeing the weekly answers that I do, so I always do answer and then the date. If you're only seeing that, go to my channel, go to the channel, and then click on the live tab, and that should get you where you need to go. So, and apparently they're doing that on the major computer too. I don't understand, but anyway, they didn't ask me. So anyway, so there's that. Okay. So, hi everybody. So this video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They are an online therapy company. They are international. If you are anywhere in the world, you can get to them, which is awesome. So they'll have you fill out some questions and you get on there and they'll find you a therapist that's master's level or PhD level. You can also do chatting on that. I didn't know you could do that you can do chatting. So if you can't talk out loud because, no nosy Parkers listening in, you can do chatting with BetterHelp.com. So thank you, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. All right, cool beans. Atlanta was awesome. Thanks, you guys, so much. It was so much fun to get together with all you guys. I am looking into the cruise. We're going to do another cruise next December. Not this December. It's too close. Next December, we're going to do a cruise. It's probably going to be about 10 cabins. So I'm going to get all the information for that, and then we'll put it on the Facebook page and in the newsletter and things like that. Okay, other announcements. Susanna Quintana, SusannaQuintana.com. She's amazing. I love her. If you are dealing with an ex and they're sending you books, in text and things like that, she can help you figure out how to scan it and just find that one line that relates to the kids. So she's awesome. I love her. She's phenomenal. So Susanna Quintana at SusannaQuintana.com. She also, I need to turn the sound off. Oh, wait a minute. Where am I? There we go. I also need to tell you about her book, You're Still That Girl, and she is working on another book. I don't know what it is about, and I don't know when it's going to be published, but it will be hopefully soon. So there is that. I am still working on the fourth book. It will get out eventually. Okay, this, that, the other thing. I think I covered everything. Okay, current events. Got to talk about current events. Oh, also, this is available on podcasts. So anywhere you get your podcasts. So Apple, Android, etc. So you can take it with you and listen to it on podcast. Okay, now current events. Okay, so, all right. In the last week or so, there have been more shootings and more stabbings. And so there was the Club Q shootings, there was the Walmart shootings, and there was the Idaho stabbings of the 4 students. Again, guys, it's not the weapon, it's the mental health. I cannot stress this enough. Healthy, sane people thinking clearly do not act on murderous impulses. Let me just say that again. Healthy, sane people do not act on murderous impulses. Have there been times when you're just like, why I oughta? Yeah, I'm sure there have been, but you don't act on them. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's not the weapons. If somebody is determined to kill, they will find whatever they can find. Machetes, knives, poison, you name it. It's not the weapons. It is the mental health. This country, sweet baby Jesus, needs mental health reform like nobody's business. It has always been a thing in our country that, oh my Lord, my hair is going everywhere. It has always been a thing in our country that mental health has been stigmatized, like insanely. So like if you had, in the old days, if you had depression or anxiety or anything like that, you were basically thrown into an institution and given shock treatments or cold water treatments or whatever. And, hidden away from society. Children who had autism or mental health issues, or they were slow or whatever, would be shoved into attics and just kind of, oh, we don't talk about Bruno, that kind of thing. So mental health needs to be reformed in this country. It does. And then, of course, I get the opposite where people are like, oh, well, but you're bagging on narcissists. Damn straight I am. I will never defend an abuser because it's a choice. They're choosing to do that. So again, the legal definition of insanity is delusional, not knowing right from wrong. These jackwagons know right from wrong, and they're choosing to do wrong. So getting back to the stigma of mental health, it's important that we start demanding it. It's important that we start saying, hey, hello, public health issue, because it is. When somebody thinks it's perfectly okay to grab a gun and go into a store or go into a nightclub or go into, a rental place with a knife and kill people in their beds, Houston, we got a big problem. We got a big problem. And there is not a day that goes by that there isn't a story on shootings, stabbings, things like that. Wrong way drivers intentionally trying to commit suicide by cop or trying to commit suicide by driving the wrong way on the freeways. That happens in Phoenix. Oh my God. Yeah. So anyway, mental health needs to be addressed in this country. And if it was, guys, we would see less of these violent acts and there wouldn't be this nonverbal permission for the abusers to abuse. Think about it that way. So if you want to make a difference, get on the horn, get on your computer, contact your congressman, your representative, your whoever, your town council. It needs to start locally. Do it to the town council as well. Get a hold of your town council, get a hold of your senator, your state senator, your federal senator, whatever. Get a hold of them and just be like, dudette, this is a problem. This is a problem. Here's why it's a problem. And here's where we need to fix it. So anyway, there endeth the rant. That is my news for the week because it just, it makes me angry that these people are slipping through the cracks. And of course, the relatives of the shooter in Colorado were like, oh, there were no signs. BS. So yeah, these people are slipping through the cracks and they're going on to become violent. And it's a danger to society. If you want to look at it that way, it's a danger to society. Walking into a Walmart, shooting up your coworkers, danger to society. It needs to be addressed. So there it is. All right, I'm done. Okay, fine. All right. Whew. All right, so moving on. So this week is You Are Your Own Hero. You are. Now, something that has been coming up for a lot of my clients over the years, not just recently, but over the years, is this desire or wish to be saved. And totally understandable. You're in an abusive situation. You want the fairy godmother or the knight in shining armor or whatever to come save you. You do. And that it is very much an inner child thing. So let's kind of address what's going on. And then we're going to talk about ways you can save yourself because ultimately you do save yourself. It's not somebody else that saves you. It's you that saves you. And you have the power. It's kind of like, how to explain? It's kind of like in The Wizard of Oz, when Glinda looks at Dorothy and says, you've had the power all along. Of course, at that point, I probably would have throat punched her. But, it's because it's like, you couldn't have told me this 3.5 hours ago. But, you have the power all along. You do. It's just that we've been unempowered. We've been disenfranchised. We've been, what's the word I'm looking for? We've been lied to by our abusers, no matter who the abuser was, whether that was, boss, or a romantic partner or family or whatever. And their greatest desire is to kill us. Soul death. That's what they want. They want us dead. D-E-D, dead. So, and the way that they do that is that they take away our power and they lie to us. So when they're doing the love bombing, right, they're mirroring us back to them. Okay. So, or us back to, they're, Lord, they take our best qualities, they pretend to have them, and they mirror it back to us. Okay. That's the love bombing. And so that's why we think, oh my gosh, this person is like my other half. Oh my gosh, this person is exactly like me. Hold on one second. I'm going to turn the light off here. There we go. Oh, that's much better. Okay. All right. So, it's like, So they mirror the best of us back to ourselves. And when they start doing the whole what is the word I'm looking for? Devalue and discard. They take the best of us and they start damning us for it. So let's say that they loved you for your sense of humor. Suddenly, well, you're so childish. You're so this, you're so that, blah, 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 blah. Right. And then, or they loved you for your free spirit or your emotionality, right? That you're able to feel. Well, oh, you're too sensitive. You're too this, you're too that. Well, then we start believing them. We start believing them. And we start believing that we are all of the horrible things that they are saying. That is a soul death. So they are projecting their stuff onto us. It is not us. So how do we save ourselves? First of all, you've got to recognize you're in an abusive relationship. This, if anyone, I don't care who the hell they think they are, starts telling you that all the things they loved about you are suddenly now not okay. Oh, Houston, there is a problem. If they start saying things like, you're too sensitive, you're too this, you're too that, there's a problem, and it's them. Can't remember what song I was listening to. I think it was Ava Max, and she was talking about how you might as well look in the mirror and point the little finger at yourself because maybe you're the problem. Talking about them. And it's so funny because so many of us think that we're the problem. And we're not. They are the problem. Healthy, normal people, again, do not seek to destroy other people. If they're not getting along, if the relationship isn't working out, you have the hard talk. Hey, this isn't working out. I wish you the best. Good luck. God bless. And you part company and you don't have any more to do with each other. With a narcissist, they continually sail back in and sail back in and sail back in. And it's so hard to heal when you're still in the environment in which you are being damaged. So I wanted to talk about ways in which to save yourself. So, okay, first of all, is acknowledging that you're in an abusive relationship. Second of all, is not acknowledging it's not you, it's them. It really, honest to God, is. Healthy, normal people don't seek to destroy other people. We just don't. It's like, it's not a competition, people. I want everybody to win, But they're very much into competition. They're very much into put downs, harm, hurt, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so let's talk about 19 critical ways to save you. And this is by Leon Seltzer, PhD. Okay, so he talks about stop assuming the past dysfunctional programming from your family represents who you really are. And that's huge. So number one is recognizing, we're in a dysfunctional relationship. The number two thing is, especially if it's coming from a family of origin, what do families of origin love to do? They love to lie to us. They love to lie to us, and they love to engage in drama and chaos. And something I've heard, and this was in my own family as well. Oh, all families are dysfunctional. No, they're not. Oh, all families do this. Oh, all families have drama. Oh, all families may have drama, but they don't have the entire, old Vic Theater showing up at the house every single day. You know what I'm saying? So, all families lie. All families cheat. So that is something that abusers say. If you hear a blanket statement like that, that is something that they say to get us to normalize the abuse. So we've got to stop normalizing the abuse. And that can be very challenging when we haven't had role models to show us what healthy is. So my thing is find role models, whether they're in reality or if they're on a movie or a book or somebody that you admire. It's like, look for healthier role models until you can surround yourself with healthy people. So you are not doomed to be whoever your family said you were. And this is one of the ways that we save ourselves, is that we recognize the lie. Now, when we start recognizing the lie, that is when the abusers really go after us and really do the whole scapegoat thing. And how dare you see the pink elephant? And I don't want you to see the pink elephant, and go back to your role. They want us in those neat little boxes that they can manipulate, control, et cetera, et cetera. So we also get stuck with our family does a lot of sabotaging, and they do the whole, well, you can't do that. You can't become a teacher. You can't do that. You can't go to college. You can't, whatever it is you want to become a mechanic. You can't do whatever it is you want to do. They put limitations on us. Romantic partners will do that as well. If you're with an abuser and you suddenly decide you want to better yourself and you want to do something different and you want to maybe go to college or take up a trade or, do something, go socialize or do something. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you're not meant for that. You're not da 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 da, right? I'll tell you what. The second somebody tells me I can't do something, that's when the middle fingers come flying out and I go try it. Absolutely, except for bungee jumping. I won't. Or parachuting. I don't see the point in jumping out of a perfectly good plane. But anyway, the point being is, if somebody says, you can't, you gotta start looking at, wait a minute, I can, they don't want me to. Let's call it what it is, right? I can do this. They just don't want me to. Interesting. Why? What is up with that? Right? So you start questioning all of the can'ts and shouldn'ts and, things like that. It's like, were they being said out of concern or were they being said out of, I want to keep you in your nice, neat little box that I can control? So that is something to think about. So we do get these self-defeating thoughts, but they come directly from the family of origin. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I can't. I shouldn't do that. No, stop. This is not about them. It is now about you. What do you want? What do you want? Not what they want, not what makes them comfortable. Because remember, growth is uncomfortable. It is. When you're learning something new, you're doing something new, you're going somewhere new, it's always uncomfortable. And what do abusers hate more than anything else? Change. And what do they really, really hate is you growing. So they will do anything they can to keep you stuck. So are you stopping yourself by just repeating the can'ts and shouldn'ts, right? So it's kind of the flip side of the perfectionism. So the perfectionism is I have to be perfect. This one is don't even try, right? So you want to get rid of both of those. You want to get rid of both of those because the perfectionism stops us, but also the you can't even try stops us. So this is where we come in and save ourselves by getting rid of the you can't, you shouldn't, the fear. It's a lot of fear and it's not even ours. It's not even ours. Okay, hold on. Break free of your belittling habits of self-criticism. This is another way to save yourself. So our abusers not only tell us you can't, you can't, you can't, you can't, or you shouldn't, you shouldn't, you shouldn't, you shouldn't. They will then sit there and tell us we're stupid, that we're, not, you physically can't do that. You're a guy or you're a girl. You shouldn't do that. Oh my God. Yeah. The gender stuff just drives me crazy. Oh, well, you're a guy, so you can't become a therapist. What? No, therapy needs more men. Thank you very much. Or you're a woman, you can't become an astronaut. I got that when I was growing up because I grew up in the 60s and 70s. So it was this whole, you can't do it because of your sex, or you can't do it because, you're not whatever. So they're talking about themselves. When abusers predict your doom, they are speaking of themselves. They are. They absolutely, when anyone predicts your doom, they are talking about their experience and them and their limitations and their BS going off in their heads. Has nothing to do with you. But as kids and as a romantic partner, or as maybe an employee, if we haven't done the work on self-esteem and really gotten a strong grasp of who we are, we tend to believe them because either they're adults, they're our parents, or they're an authority figure, or they're our romantic partner, and we've trusted them and we believe what they say. So it's really going to be a lot of challenging the thoughts, challenging what's being said to you. Is this me or is this them? Kind of thing. And it's much easier to do, again, once you're out of the abusive situation. If you're still in the abuse, you still got the abuse incoming, and you're trying to challenge it and tread water and keep your nose above water and keep who you are. And what they want to do is they want to push your head under and make you drown so you don't know who you are. So keep that in mind. Okay, hold on. Okay, so getting rid of the inner critic. Really, really important. Getting rid of the criticism. Getting rid of the, not good enough. So that is what they excel in, is nothing we do is good enough. And we integrate that inner critic into our heads, and oh my gosh, that person who told us that just flies out. So it's really important to challenge what is being said, challenge who is saying it, what is their game, what do they want. When you're away from the relationship, it's a lot easier to kind of see see the forest through the trees kind of thing, because if you're in the middle of it's all, they like to throw so much at the wall to see what will stick, and it gets confusing, and that's why we get the fog, that's why we get the cognitive dissonance and all of that. Best advice I can give is get the hell out. Get the hell out, no matter what situation you are in. If it's an abusive boss, if it's an abusive family, if it's an abusive relationship, get the hell out. Get some space, get some distance, because then you're going to start seeing all this stuff, and it's going to be like glaring. It's kind of like once something has been seen, it cannot be unseen kind of thing. And I want to give some comfort too, because it takes on average 7 times leaving for it to stick. So do not beat yourself up if you've left and then gone back and then left and then gone back, because for some reason it takes about 7 times before our brains finally go click, 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 click. Oh, and oh, I need to get out and I need to stay out. So there is that. Okay. So inner critic has got to be kiboshed. It's got to be taken care of. It's got to be put away. It's got to be done with. It's got to be dealt with. So Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor is going to be huge, or the Inner Child Workbook by Lucia Cappuccioni in dealing with this particular stuff. Again, you're saving yourself. You're doing the work. Even if you cannot afford a therapist, get those books, start working them, and then when you can afford a therapist, then you're going to want to get a therapist and start working on that. And the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Glenn Schiraldi has a whole section in there on your self-worth. What is your worth? Do you understand you have value and worth? Just doing nothing, because especially narcissistic families love to do that whole, well, you're only worth something if you're working or if you're producing or if you're, no, you have value and worth. Just sitting here, you have value and worth. And I know a lot of people are like, no, I don't. And I'm like, Self-Esteem Workbook, Glenn Schiraldi, Mirror Work. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. I give you permission to tell that inner critic to go pound sand and challenge it. Do it, that kind of thing. So I want you to work on that. Okay. No more putting yourself down. No more self-criticism. Catch yourself when you're doing that. That is how you save yourself, because you want that inner critic to become the inner cheerleader. So instead of not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, you want it to be like, hey, good job. I like you. Yep. You look good. Keep going. That's what you want. And eventually you do that enough, the inner critic shuts the hell up. And if it does pop up, it's so clear. It's like, whoa, haven't heard that in a long time. Thanks for playing. Bye-bye. Do you see where I'm going with that? So, okay. Reassess your assumptions about how the world operates, and consequently, how you need to function in it. Okay. So this is going to be dealing with fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. It's going to be dealing with what we tell ourselves about who we are in this world. And it's going to be dealing with changing how we relate to other people. It also has to do with trust. So when we come from an abusive relationship, we have a lot of mistaken thoughts, a lot of mistaken beliefs about how the world really is. Okay. So if we have a controlling family that has filled our heads full of nonsense that the world is absolutely not safe and you can't go anywhere and you can't do this and no, that kind of thing, we're going to go out into the world being terrified, right? Well, is the world dangerous? Yeah, it can be. Absolutely. And however, if you use a little bit of common sense, you can pretty much stay fairly safe. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just a matter of dealing with the irrational thoughts. So again, Glenn Schiraldi in his book, what are your automatic thoughts? What are you telling yourself on a daily basis about yourself, about the world, about, who you are or what you want? What are those automatic thoughts, and what's the rational challenge to them? That's what you want to do. So So it's working on those assumptions. Now, trust, we're not going to have a lot of trust coming into freedom from an abusive relationship, because what we've known is family of origin and or abusive romantic relationship. And so that trust is going to need to be worked on. But the first person you need to start trusting is yourself. It's your gut. Trust your gut. Do not listen to the head and the heart. The head and the heart tell stories all the time. The gut will never steer you wrong. So you got to start working on trusting your gut instinct. You know, that little feeling where you're like, ooh, I shouldn't go down that roadway right now. Trust it. Even though it feels weird and irrational, trust it. I can't tell you the number of times where it's like I was going to turn onto a freeway and I was like, nope, I'm going to take surface streets. And then I find out there was a huge accident. So trust that little, that little feeling of maybe I shouldn't do that. Trust it. It does not lie to you. The head and the heart lie. They tell stories. The gut never does. Listen to your gut. It'll be your best friend. Okay, so reassess the assumptions of how the world operates. The world is not always kind, for sure, but it's not also always evil either. It's kind of like you've got to realize everybody's different. But remember, when we're dealing with a narcissist, everyone has to be the same. So it's challenging all of those thoughts. So in a narcissistic family unit, if anyone disagrees, oh my God, it's World War III. How dare you think differently from me? How dare you do things differently? How dare you, blah, 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 blah. So it's really starting to challenge that. Do I really have to think like everybody else? How about I think for myself? There we go. How about I go do my own thing? How about I go explore something I've never explored before? So it's going to be really doing that. It's really essential to reconsider what once felt threatening, fearsome, or overwhelming because of our family of origin or because of that romantic relationship. So baby steps. You're not going to challenge, you're not going to, overcome all of them in a day, but pick one. Pick one thing and do that. So for example, when I went backpacking as a teenager as a young adult, through Europe, I decided I wanted to go to East Berlin. Now, this is when the wall was still up and it was still a communist country and the whole thing. And of course, the last thing my mom said to me before I left was, don't go to any communist countries. And I went, crossed my fingers and went, uh-huh. And then as soon as I got over there, it was like, train schedule. Oh, look, Berlin, fabulous. And I went. And it was great. And I'm glad I did it, and it was terrifying. I gotta tell you, it was terrifying because I was like, I'm going against everything that mom and dad said and, the whole thing. And it was very rewarding that I did. And that was kind of like that first little taste of success, challenging their mistaken thoughts. And it just snowballed from there. So, so baby steps though, pick one. Don't try to do all of them at once because it's going to overwhelm you. Okay. Stop putting yourself under constant pressure to perform. So honestly, in a lot of narcissistic families, it's like, you better make me look good. That was my dad. You better, get a good paying job and take care of us, or marry a doctor. Dear Lord, or, things like that, and it's like, no, I'm sorry. No, or you better become a lawyer. Okay. So that was another thing. There were 8 generations of lawyers in my family. My father, wanted somebody to take it over, but he didn't have anyone to take it over. And so he was always pushing to have somebody carry on the name and the law and the firm and the blah, and it's like, no, sorry, nobody's interested. We see how miserable you are. So no, thank you. So it just, and of course he was sexist and misogynistic and everything else. And he didn't want females being a lawyer. And he put down my brother so hard. I don't think my brother could have done it, even if he could have wanted to be a lawyer. So, so it's like, it's not okay in narcissistic families to, have your own wants, your own needs, your own desires, they want everybody again to fit in that neat little box. So you've got to start really challenging that. Okay. Are you your own super harsh taskmaster or drill sergeant? Yeah, absolutely. Because narcissists do not ever want us to relax or rest or be satisfied, because they're not. They can't stand it when they see somebody relaxing or being satisfied or happy. They can't stand it because they can't feel it and they can't do it themselves. So it's constant, and we internalize this, taskmaster, drill sergeant, do this now. It's got to be perfect. I've got to clean. I've got to, I have this list of 20 things I need to do. And if I don't do all of them, I'm a horrible person. Stop. If you do one of them, you're great. If you do none of them, you're great. Seriously. So start working on that, sending that taskmaster, that drill sergeant, tell them to go pound sand. It's not you, it's them. Save yourself. This is not even your stuff. And a lot of people, when they come out of the relationships or out of the family of origin, they're like, oh no, this is something I've always thought. And I'm like, you popped out of your womb being a taskmaster. I don't think so. No, you didn't. This was learned. This is a learned behavior. So if it can be learned, it can be unlearned and replaced with healthier behavior. So start working on that. Hang on. Give up extravagant longings and grandiose aspirations that cannot do anything and ensure defeat. Okay. Abusers set up their kids to fail. They do. 110%. So if you judge a fish by how well it climbs a tree, it will always fail. And that is what abusers do to their kid. They make sure that they push them to do the very thing that they're not suited for. So, and this happened in my family as well with the whole lawyer thing, right? My brother, amazing mechanic. He's a MacGyver. He could fix anything, seriously. But my dad was always like academic. And so the kid never was good enough. And in fact, when my dad died, that's the one thing that my brother said is that, it game over. I'll never get his approval, and it was true, no matter how hard that kid tried, even though he's my older brother, no matter how hard that kid tried, he was never good enough, ever. So they set us up for failure. So be aware of what is your aspiration and what is their aspiration. And does it fit you? Is this really what you want? Is this really what you want to do? Now, my dad tried to push me into becoming a hairdresser and a secretary. It was like, oh, well, that's all you're good for. You're not smart enough to do anything else. Oh my God. So, and it's like, no, that's not what I want to do. I've got bigger plans than that. Thanks for playing. So you've got to really kind of assess what's the agenda. What is their game? What do they get out of it by keeping you down? Okay. We're going to go a little bit over time because I want to make sure to hit all of these. Contest the non-deserving beliefs that have prompted you to sabotage yourself to repeatedly snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. So again, we tend to self-sabotage because of the messages that it's not okay for us to succeed. And where does that come from? Inner child. Because the inner child is trying to please the parent that kept wanting us to do whatever they wanted us to do. And if we go to do something else and we're successful at it and we finally find ourselves sabotaging, I can guarantee you it's the inner child. So start working on the inner child workbook. Get that self-saboteur handled. Seriously. Okay, hold on. Put a halt to worrying, ruminating, or catastrophizing. So you're not going to put a halt to it. Let me just be clear here. We're always going to worry, ruminate, and catastrophize. But I give yourself 2 minutes to do it and then stop. So the thought's going to pop up. So when the worrying or the ruminating pops up or the catastrophizing, what if? Okay, stop. Thank you. I hear you. I see you. I am not playing with you. You are not coming in for coffee because you're going to stay for breakfast. No, thank you. Bye-bye. Go pound sand. What if? If we're always living in what if, we're always living in the future. If we're always living in the future, we are depressed. If we're ruminating, we're thinking about the past, which cannot be changed, which means we're always, wait, did I say depressed? Anxious. Sorry, backwards. Whoop. So if you're living in what if, it's anxious. If you're living in the past, it's depression. And it's not in this moment. So that's another way to save ourselves is to stay in this present moment. You can acknowledge the thought. Absolutely. I hear you. I see you. What if? I hear and I see you. Regrets and past and things like that. And I'm not playing with you. Bye-bye. I'm going to stay in the here and the now. I love myself. I've done the best I can. And that is, say it with me, good enough. Good enough. So practice doing that. That is how you save yourself. Seriously, challenging these thoughts. challenging these thoughts and replacing them with either the logical challenge to them or with the polar opposite of whatever they have said. Okay. At every opportunity, seek to prove yourself that you're safer than you feel. Okay. And this is so true. When we leave an abusive relationship, the world feels incredibly dangerous. So, and it also feels incredibly lonely because we're starting to get rid of those toxic friends, those toxic family members, that whole thing. It is safer than it feels. It is. And you're going to have to self-soothe. So that has, again, a lot to do with mirror work. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. You know what? You're safer than you feel, and it's okay. And then you walk out. So it's reparenting. You must become your own parent. You must become that so often not heard, soft, wonderful voice that we didn't get in childhood. So if we had parents that were harsh, critical, mean, narcissistic, abusive, alcoholic, drug addicts, etc., we didn't get that soft, hey, it's okay. Hey, you're all right. It's okay. You're safer than you feel. It's all right. You know, that encouragement. So I encourage you to encourage yourself. Seriously, it's like give yourself encouragement. That little inner child needs encouragement. Okay. And this is for people, whether they've been out of the relationship years or if they've just left it. We all need to do a check-in and make sure that we're doing these things to keep ourselves moving forward. All right. Recognize your residual regrets for what they are, a mental exercise in futility. We've done the best we could. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. So, Radical Self-Forgiveness by Colin Tipping. Great book. And if you're having difficulty with difficult people in your lives, Radical Forgiveness, also by Colin Tipping. And by no means, you don't need to forgive people. Let me be very clear about it. You do need to forgive yourself, but you don't have to forgive your abuser. You don't. It's a fallacy and a myth to be like, oh, you can't heal unless you forgive. Where's my middle finger? Seriously. No, if you want to, great. If you don't, also great. It's okay. As long as you're not staying mad at them as a way to keep them close to you, which is what I found I did. It was like this huge amount of anger, even though my dad was dead, because I wanted to fix him. And for some reason, my little inner child thought if I could just stay mad at him and fix that, then he would be okay. And I would be okay. But, you know, thankfully I had a good therapist and we worked through that. So yeah, you don't have to forgive them if you don't want to, but also make sure that you're not holding them to you with the anger trying to fix them. So there is that. Forgive yourself for the past misdeeds or past missteps. We all make mistakes. Everybody's doo-doo stinks. I've made mistakes. Other people have made mistakes. I'm sure you've made mistakes. Forgive yourself. Make sure it doesn't happen again. What can you do differently? Make amends if you need to or if you can, and then move on. Forgive yourself. One thing I've noticed about all abusers is they are the nastiest, least forgiving, most judgmental, harshest, harmingest people on the face of the planet. And we kind of internalize that. And so when we make a mistake, it's like we rub our own noses in it. No, stop. We're going to make mistakes. Mistakes are going to be made, you know. Figure out how to do it differently. Make amends where you can. Move on. Forgive yourself. Reassess your likely exaggerated feelings of guilt. So one thing that they do, and I love that Kim taught me this one, BS fog, blame, shame, fear, obligation, and guilt. I am forever going to be using that. So they make us feel guilty. You know, if we don't take care of them in old age, what do? Oh, you're a horrible son, you're a horrible daughter. And you know, old age homes are filled with collapsing narcissists. So do you have something to feel guilty about? No. You are under no obligation to take care of somebody who is an abuser and who will blow your home up and disturb your own peace. No. So look at the guilt, but don't allow it in. You know, is this something I need to feel guilty for? And if I need to feel guilty, is it I need to feel guilty so that this person will forgive me and love me? Or do I need to feel guilty because I need to make amends? Or am I just feeling guilty because that's what I've been trained to do my entire life? Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. My fault, all my fault. narcissists love to blame, shame, guilt trip, the whole thing. So if it's a mea culpa thing that's been learned, you need to unlearn it. It's like, no, not everything on the face of the planet is my fault. My dad used to tell me if I didn't finish everything on my plate, it was my fault that there were starving children in China or India or Ethiopia or wherever was having a drought and starvation at that time. It took me years to figure out that my eating the food was not going to help them, so, bad parenting at its finest. So yeah, you want to definitely take a look at the guilt and really work it through. And if you need to, write the guilt of Go Pound Sand letter. Dear guilt, no more, no mas. I'm not going to do it. Thank you for playing. Bye-bye. Now, there's guilt when we do something that needs making amends for, but we know the difference of that. If there's something that we've done and we need to make amends, okay, you make amends, you forgive yourself and you move on. But if it keeps coming up and keeps coming up and keeps coming up, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, whose is that? Whose punishment is that? It's not yours. So take a look at that. Okay, we've gone over time, but I'm going to keep going because I want to get this done. Okay. Let go of any long-standing anger and resentment. I talked about that. Examine the rationality of your issues relating to trust. Talked about that. So we do have a reason to not trust. And it's going to be a matter of boundaries. So The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker, other books on boundaries, I would recommend reading them. Once our boundaries are tight, then we have our list of deal breakers. And if somebody crosses that, okay, they're not trustworthy. You push them out of your life. So, but if they're not breaking any of the deal breakers and they're respecting your boundaries, then you're probably okay. So, but that does not mean your guard is not always going to be up. Yeah, your guard's probably always going to be up, because what is one of the signs of PTSD, CPTSD, is hypervigilance. So, it's a work in progress. That's really what it is. Don't blame or shame yourself for your not yet overcome addictive habits. Well, okay. I myself drank too much because my family, hello, and of course I come from a long line of alcoholics. Thank you very much. So instead of beating yourself up, take a look at it. If you come from a narcissistic family, an abusive family, we're trying to numb ourselves. Now, that does not give you carte blanche to go out and keep using. Let me be clear. So, but it is kind of like how much am I drinking? How much am I smoking? How much am I, numbing myself artificially? What am I doing? Or maybe, even just, checking out and not really dealing with reality. Get with a good therapist. Don't beat yourself up, but also don't continue to do self-harm. Does that make sense? And we do. A lot of us come out of these relationships wanting to numb, or having been numb because it's just been so awful. So, it's kind of like, it is as horrible as you thought it was. It was as horrible as you thought it was. And it's okay for you to start working on becoming clean and sober. And it's okay for you to start dealing with the issues that got you using in the first place. So yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times when people come out of abusive relationships and they have an alcohol issue or a drug issue or smoking or vaping or whatever it is they're doing that's self-harming, they beat themselves up on top of that. And then it becomes this vicious cycle. It's like, well, I'm doing this because of that, and I feel awful because now I'm dealing with it, and now I'm going to go do it again. And it's kind of like, you got to realize, if we are doing things that are self-harming, that is only playing their game. That is only playing their game. The best middle finger you can give to abusers: get clean, get sober, take good care of yourself, be gentle with you, and don't beat yourself up. We do not pop out of the womb going, gee, I'd really like to be an alcoholic or a drug addict. We don't. We become that when life circumstances such as abuse make it impossible for us to deal with whatever is going on in that moment. So especially if the abuse is incest or beatings or verbal abuse or, any of that, that's enough to cause a lot of people to start using. So it is what it is. Get to a meeting, get a sponsor, get clean, get sober, gentle with you. There's a reason we start using. There's a reason. So especially coming out of abusive relationships. So, all right, there is that. Stop taking things so personally. Take it in, but do not take it on. So I posted a thing from Brene Brown, and I'm going to have to answer a lot of these questions in the Wednesday because I'm going to go long. Sorry. Um, and she talked about, when somebody says something horrible and awful to you about you, don't take it and cuddle with it and rub it all over you. It's like, no, it's like, recognize this is nothing to do with you. This has everything to do with them. So don't take it personally. It's discernment. It's like, is this really about you? Probably not. So take it in, but don't take it on. You can play with it, but don't take it personally, because abusers will say the most heinous things. Some of the things my dad said to me, I'm just like, are you human? What is going on here? And it was all about him. It wasn't about me. It was about him. So stop comparing yourself to others. This is not a competition, but abusers make it a competition. Everything's a competition. They have to win. They have to be the best or the worst, whatever, the most whatever. And that's not normal. That's not normal. So stop comparing yourself to others. Other people have not had the same experience you have. Some people are worse off. Some people are better off. Your experience is unique to you, and it is okay. It's okay. It's not a competition. So anytime you hear that, oh, well, but other people had it worse. No, stop. What I had was bad, and it's my experience, and go pound sand. Thank you. So there's that. Stop sacrificing your integrity, dignity, or pride just to ensure that people will like you. People pleasing. So again, Harriet Breaker, The Disease to Please. So we do that. We say yes when we mean no. And we've got to learn to start saying yes to ourselves and no to other people. Does that make sense? Appropriately. Stop depending on others to calm you down or validate you. So it is your task to calm yourself down and to validate yourself. Happiness is an inside job. You're not going to find it hitting the dating sites. You're not. And I can't tell you the number of clients I've had over the years that will come out of one of these relationships, horrific, not dealing with the stuff that's gone on in the family of origin, not really dealing with what went on with the abuser. And they're like, I need to get into another relationship. And I'm like hell you do. You're not, whatever you're looking for out here, you're not going to find if you cannot find it in here. Let me say that again. Whatever you're looking for out here, you're not going to find it until you find it in here. So it's an inside job. So you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to deal with the family of origin. You've got to deal with the abuser. And you've got to work on not why it happened, but who, what, when, where. Why is never going to be answered, but who, what, when, where? Yeah, that'll be answered. So that's what would serve you the most. Learn to accept every part of you, unflattering warts and all. So when we are in an abusive relationship with family, with a romantic partner, they dearly love to tell us how ugly we are, or point out our flaws, or, tell us we're fat when we're not. That's a favorite one. Or tell us we're, lacking, or this or that, or whatever. So accept yourself. Love yourself. This amazing body gets us through life. It allows us to experience amazing things, and to see amazing things, and hear amazing things, and go to amazing places, and visit with amazing people, and, all sorts of cool stuff. So really, again, to give the middle finger to the abusers, love your body, love yourself. One thing that they love to also do is tell people, oh, well, you're too sensitive. Love your sensitivity. Love your sensitivity. That means you're human. That means you can feel, and they can't. Or, you laugh too much. Thank God. Because if I wasn't laughing, I'd be crying. So I'd rather laugh. Thank you. It's like, enjoy who you are, because they can't enjoy who they are. And God forbid we enjoy who we are. So it's really important for you to really start accepting self-acceptance, radical acceptance, Tara Brach, radical self-forgiveness, Colin Tipping. This body is amazing. You are amazing. Your mind is amazing. Your humor is amazing. Your ability to love is amazing. Your ability to feel is amazing. So allow. Okay, now let's get to the questions. Okay. Sorry, I went a little long. When I try to guide myself to healthy behavior, I don't believe myself because I've had to play games with myself to get through all of the abuse. How do I start trusting myself? Okay. So, trusting yourself, I would say start working on the Self Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. People who know themselves trust themselves. So when you start realizing who you really are, separate from what the abusers told you you were, you're going to start trusting yourself. Because it's kind of like there's this like disconnect with us. You know, we get out of these relationships and they've told us all of this, but we feel all of that, and these don't match, but we keep telling ourselves with an inner critic all the negative stuff. So it's really important to start working on the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Recognize your worth. Start really honoring what you want, who you are, what you feel, and do the workbook front to back. Take your time and really chew through it like a gourmet meal. Don't blast through it. It drives me crazy when people are like, oh yeah, I finished it, and they've had it for a week. I'm like, this is supposed to take at least 3 to 6 months. So yeah, take your time, and really work through it. So that's the way to start learning how to trust yourself, is learning who you are. Because we come out of these relationships, whether they're parental or whether they're romantic, and we've lost who we are. We who am I? What do I like? Where am I? What am I doing? Why am I here? Seriously. So it's really important to get back to learning who you are, trusting who you are, and then starting to trust others out of that. Okay. Hope that answers the question. Okay. Do narc parents hinder their child's learning? Yes. So they can infantilize the child? Yes. And make them dumb as a way to seek attention for themselves? Absolutely. It's almost like Munchausen by proxy. So, oh God, so many of these jackwagons will claim that their kids have got ADHD or autism or something else, and they start throwing meds at them. Little brains should not have medication unless it's absolutely necessary until they are in their late teens at the earliest, because the brain is still developing. And they will then point to that, oh, my child has got this disorder or that disorder, when in fact the child doesn't. They just found a psychiatrist that would prescribe, and now the kid is all jacked up on medications that's messing with their mind. So yeah, they absolutely will do that. You betcha. They love to infantilize their children. That is something else I've seen. So it's either they give them this ridiculous, you have to be this academician, which is what my dad did, or they do the whole dumbing the kid down, not allowing them to be smart, not allowing them to explore, not allowing them to do things for themselves, not teaching them how to cook or do their own laundry, or, balance a checking account, what I mean? Debit account, whatever. So you know what I'm saying? So it's like, so they do that. They hobble them so that they're always dependent on them. So it looks like this instead of like this. Healthy, normal parents want their kids to be on their own feet. Unhealthy parents want their kid leaning on them their whole lives. But then, what happens if that parent dies? That kid is lost. Like, they don't know how to adult. They don't know how to function. They don't know how to socialize. They don't know how to, and yeah, they absolutely do that. And it's abuse. It is absolutely abuse. You betcha. Okay. How can we let go of the stubborn, lingering wish that someone else will save and affirm us? Okay. That is the inner child. And it's a totally normal wish, guys. Totally normal. You're not bad or wrong for that. You're not. So it's the inner child. So the way to let go of it is to start working through the inner child workbook, seriously, and reparenting yourself. Meaning you're going to start talking to yourself with kindness, the way your parents should have. You're going to give yourself pep talks in the morning. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. I give you permission to save yourself. It's okay. You are your own hero. Go do it. You got this. And then walk out. So and then remind yourself at night, same thing. You do a daytime, pep talk. And then at night you do the, hey, good to see you again. Here are 3 things I did right today. And you list them off, because abusers never tell us what we did right. And then we learn to sit there at night staring at the ceiling going, oh my God, I did this wrong and I should have done that and I could have done that. No, 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 no. 3 things you did right today. Go sleep well, have a good night, sleep tight, love you, good night, and then go to bed, the way a good parent would have. So reparenting yourself, working on the self-esteem, working on the inner child, having chats with that inner child. You can do guided imagery, speaking to that part of you that wants to be saved. Hey, little one, there's nobody outside of us that's going to save us, but I am here. I've got your back. I am going to save us. And here's what needs to happen. You need to let me be the adult and I will take care of you. See where I'm going with that? So that should help with that inner child desire to be saved, because we all do. We all have that thought. It's like I used to pretend that my parents were aliens because they were just so crazy. Aliens. They were just so crazy. Seriously. And I kept thinking, it's like, well, maybe some year they'll come back from wherever they are, outer space. My real parents will come back and these bozos will go away. And so it is, there's that childish, or that not childish, but childlike desire to be saved. We all have it. And it's a matter of talking to that little one. Hey, little one, your parents are not aliens. They're just jerks. And your real parents are the jerks that you're having to deal with, and you get to save yourself, and it's okay, and you're safe, and I've got you, and I'm right here. So you talk to your little one as if you were your own parent. Does that make sense? Reparenting yourself the way you should have been parented, with truth, with love, with kindness, with patience. Narcissists are not patient. They're mean. And they're like, now, and again, being rushed and not liking being rushed is a trauma response, because almost all of us were rushed or made wrong or whatever. So there is that. So Inner Child Workbook, absolutely. Either by Lucia Cappuccioni or Catherine Taylor. Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. That would be great. Is it common after lifelong narc abuse that you don't want others to save you, but instead you want to do it all yourself and kind of stop relying on others? Yes, that is a trauma response. Absolutely. So both of these, ta-da, are trauma responses. Wanting to be saved is a trauma response. Getting the attitude of, I'll do it on my own damn self. That is also a trauma response. Absolutely. We have an incredibly difficult time asking for help. We do. Some of us have an incredibly difficult time asking for help. That is a trauma response. So both of these are trauma responses. Wanting to be saved is a trauma response. Yes. And I'll do it my own damn self is also a trauma response, because we learned quickly that there was not going to be anybody there. Nobody was going to save us. Nobody was going to do the right thing. My mom knew the abuse was going on. She did nothing, so it's like, okay, I'm on my own. Great. Fabulous. How do I get out of here? And then you have to start formulating your escape plan. So yeah, that is absolutely a thing that abusers do, is that they create this situation where we either want to be saved or we absolutely are like, I don't need anybody's help. I'll do it my own self. So yeah, you're not wrong. And it is a trauma response. And for those of us that have the whole, I'll do it my own self, we have to learn to start asking for help. Baby steps with somebody we trust. It's because otherwise we're just going to be like, see, nobody's going to help, that kind of thing. So baby steps, get with a good therapist, work on the self-esteem workbook, work on the inner child workbook, all of that good stuff. Okay, my loves. Next week, we are going to talk about medical trauma and dealing with narcissists in the medical profession, because that's been up for a lot of my clients, and I want to make sure everybody knows what to do when faced with that. So, all right, my loves, you guys have a great week. I will answer the rest of the questions on Wednesday. Take good care of yourselves, drink plenty of water, and stay warm. And I will talk to you next week or Wednesday. Okay, bye.